In this video, we'll be providing full cash lineups for Week 5 on the main slate for DraftKings and FanDuel, plus a little GPP strategy from last week. And it's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lay.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, this daily fantasy is becoming more fun every single year because of how much things shake up, and it really rewards folks that pay attention, not only week to week, including how things can change so much from prior years, but even during the week. And I know that was a big part of what happened for you and your GPP lineup. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened this last week for you?
All right. Well, let's go to the DFS Hub site where I participated in a free contest this week, and let's talk about how my GPP lineup did. All right, Michael, here was the GPP lineup. I finished second out of all the competitors on the DFS Hub free contest. Congratulations to Terry Saltzman, who just beat me out. He wins the free pro account on DFS Hub for the remainder of the year. I already have one, so you can have it, Terry. But bragging rights. Darn, Jordan Mason had a touchdown return. But anyway, let's talk due to penalty. Let's talk about the concept of how I came with my lineup and how it migrated from the cash lineup that we gave last week up into the GPP. So with GPP, I want a stack where we didn't have a stack in our cash lineup. And I wanted to pick it from a high-scoring game. And I really thought Washington and Arizona would be a high-scoring game. Because Jaden Daniels does so much with his legs, I didn't want to stack him with a receiver, so I just played him on his own, on his team. But I wanted to have a run back, and that was to Marvin Harrison. The running backs were the identical three running backs we had for cash. Aaron Jones, Chuba Hubbard, Jordan Mason, all did great. But I made some strategic changes. This is why it's so important. You can't just watch us on Wednesday and forget about it. Based on late-breaking news, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith was out. So I really like Dallas Goedert in that situation, so I got him in the lineup. And Devontae Adams on your Raiders, Michael, was out. So Trey Tucker was a huge saver in time and in money. And Jake Reed, with the knowledge that Jordan Love was going to play, became a lot more appealing. Now, you didn't just have to read my mind for all that. I was in the comment section, which I often am on Saturday, and I actually recommended Trey Tucker and Dallas Goedert in that lineup. What do you think? My only regret, I could have gone with the Broncos. They were $100 more, and I had the $100, and that would have helped me instead of going with the Panthers.
Well, I think you should have gone with the Broncos, Eric. That much I can say. But, a couple things, right? I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show, you got to pay attention to things that happen last minute. It really has an impact. And yeah, like you say, you got to go with a stack in a game that's expected to be high scoring, and that rewarded you significantly. You've got this GPP thing down, Eric.
Hopefully, for that week. For that week. All right, so let's bring it back and talk about Week 5. Who do we like in our cash lineup for Week 5? We have two players that we call core players. So we would start them in our cash lineup on both DraftKings and FanDuel. And after we go over our core players, we'll fill out a full cash lineup on DraftKings and a full cash lineup on FanDuel. I will start it off at Ken Walker III from the Seattle Seahawks, the running back. 6,800 on DraftKings and 7,400 on FanDuel. Michael Walker is a misnomer. This guy is a runner, and he's an explosive runner. If the line gives him even a small amount of hole, he can hit it and be gone. So you like that. And he's only played in 2 games because of an injury. And he's been sensational those two games. He has averaged in those two games this year 19 touches, a combined yardage of 119 yards, and averaged 2 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns a game. So sensational, and I love his matchup this week. We already know he's the bell cow, and he's the goal line back, and he gets involved in the pass game. But he's in a great matchup, a home favorite against the New York Giants, a 6-point favorite, and a very reasonable 25 implied total.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to see him back this week because of my my season-long fantasy lineup. He's huge for that team. Unfortunately, they can't have him play defense as well because they could have used him this last week against Detroit. Yeah, I like his opportunity again this week. And I got a guy in a similar situation, not a favorite, and not at home, but he is the bell cow, getting a ton of touches right now. And just recently getting all those touches because of changes to the team. He's at 6,100 on DraftKings, 6,800 on FanDuel. That's Chuba Hubbard going up against Chicago, who's the 29th best rush defense. I didn't really know they were that bad until I looked it up in the league. And he's just getting a ton of touches. He got 23 and 22 the last couple of games. And he's been getting in the end zone as well. And that's a tribute to, I think, Andy Dalton changing this offense at this price. Can't believe we can get him in both of those leagues. Really nice price. And I think he's going to continue to benefit from Andy Dalton and from a good matchup against the Chicago Bears.
Love it. All right. So 2 really solid guys. Don't break the bank. Let's see how we complete our FanDuel and DraftKings lineups. We'll start with DraftKings.
Hey, Eric. Here we are on DraftKings. We've got $37,100 available to us, so $5,300 a player. So, because we did such a good job saving some money. Well, I'm going to start spending it right out of the gate. We're going to get ourselves a superstar at the wide receiver position. He's the second or third most expensive wide receiver. It's Nico Collins. Dominic, or as we know him, Nico Collins from Houston, playing against the Bills at home. Yeah, he's expensive. And yeah, he's going up against the Bills, but they're actually the 20th pass defense in the league. And part of that's because teams have had to come back, except for this last week, against them. And Nico Collins has had over 11 targets in the last couple of games. He's obviously starting to heat up. Look how much yardage he's had, over 100 yards per game, leading the league in yards per game. Really has a nice camaraderie with CJ Stroud. The implied total for Houston is 23 in this game. We got to get a superstar, take advantage of the money we've saved. And I like him as maybe the top receiving option. We could go with, you saw Cooper Kupp was available, but he's not playing. So, so let's go with Nico Collins, and everybody knows what's going on with Tyreek Hill in Miami. So Jamar Chase is really the only other kind of superstar guy who I think has that super high floor. I know Neighbors is a little bit tempting, but he's coming out of the concussion protocol. Not even 100% sure he's going to play. Eric, what do you think?
Well, that Miami offense, if those are thinking about Hill, it's just, as a Hill owner, it's just awful. It's awful. In fact, if you want to keep a Miami Dolphin off your yard, just put up goalposts, because they can't get anywhere near the end zone. So I have no problem with Collins. I love the amount of targets that he is receiving. But Michael, you spent some money. My gosh. All right. We got 3 legitimate stars. And I'm going to add a 4th star if you base it on how much they're getting paid. At quarterback, not they're getting paid by the salary that we're going to pay them. At only $5,300, Deshaun Watson. Now, hold on. Don't click off the set. Deshaun Watson, look, in fantasy, Deshaun Watson is not as bad as you may think. He always helps his floor by rushing. Look at the amount of rushing statistics that he gets game in and game out, and he is not above taking off around the goal line for a rushing touchdown. Now, you say, hey, Eric, come on. Why don't you look at those passing yards? He hasn't hit the 200 mark. That's true, but check out their matchup. They play the Washington Commanders. Now, if you checked on DraftKings, they're 30th against quarterbacks. Okay. They have a great offense, so it's going to force Cleveland to have to throw the ball. I love this. And he has two legitimate stars to throw to in Cooper and Jerry Jeudy. So sign me up for only $5,300, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that savings really gives us the opportunity to spend elsewhere. And I do think he's not only has that high floor, but he has an opportunity this week on Washington to even have a little bit of a higher ceiling and maybe, have a glimpse of earning some of that money that he has coming to him. Okay, so I'm going to save some money as well at the tight end position. And that's going to go, I'm going with a guy who's in one of the games that has the highest implied totals for his team. That's at $3,500. So let's scroll down a little ways. A guy who's starting to get the eye of his quarterback, especially if Jordan Love is at the helm, which we believe is going to be, and that's Tucker Kraft. Again, $3,500. And he didn't get too involved in those first few games, but you saw what happened this last week, 9 targets. He's moving up the tight end ranks. And let's face it, tight end has been a really tough position this year on the fantasy side. You really just want someone with a good floor, and it's a tough area to feel like you can spend extra dollars. And the one tight end who I think last week finally performed, for those of you who have him on the fantasy side, which is Travis Kelce, is not on the main slate. So let's get Tucker Kraft in there, save some more dollars, and then we'll have some dollars to spend elsewhere, but not a lot.
Not a lot indeed, but yeah, I like the floor that Kraft gives you given his price. Well, we already got a superstar in Nico Collins in our lineup. I want to get another wide receiver in our lineup with some savings in money, but that I'm confident will give us a decent floor. So look, I'd love to get Amari Cooper, who is at 6,200, but we couldn't quite afford him. So I'm going to get the Robin to his Batman and save $1,000 in Jerry Jeudy. I've always liked Jerry Jeudy, Michael. Back from the Denver days, he's a talented guy, good route runner, can get open, and and you saw Watson really has been looking his way almost consistently throughout the season. So again, I'm not going to repeat everything I said with Watson. I think it's a tremendous matchup facing the Commanders. Really struggling on defense, but doing well on offense. So Jeudy at 5,200.
Yeah, I mean, again, someone with a pretty high floor. Maybe not a ton of upside in terms of getting in the end zone because of how that offense has performed, but this might be a week for them to increase that potential. And thanks for saving those dollars.
Yeah, I just want to say, Deshaun Watson has a huge bias towards wide receivers, right? He's throwing to his wide receiver. He's not someone that locks him in heavily in their tight end, even around the goal line. So we'll see. I'm hoping that he may find pay dirt in this high scoring game.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Njoku might be back this week, which could have a little bit of an impact on that, but it's still looking like he's trending to not be in. We've saved some money. That allows us to, get ourselves someone in the running back position, since we put Walker in the flex position because he's in that afternoon game. And we're going to go straight back to that Green Bay Rams game, a game that could be and should be high scoring according to the lines makers. At $7,800 or $7,600, it's Kyren Williams, who's been getting as many touches as anyone in the NFL right now, not just carrying the ball, but also in the passing game. A lot of people were afraid of him, come draft time in their drafts. and he has shown that he's a key part of their offense, especially with Kupp and Nakua out. He's getting over 20 touches a game, getting in the end zone. He's got 6 touchdowns? Just he's a touchdown monger. So let's get him in there and use those dollars well with a dual threat running back.
Yeah, and you can see the difference between game 1 and 2 and game 3 and 4 with 26 and 20 touches. What's the difference? Well, both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua have not played in week 3 and 4. And yes, they're out again, both of them in week 5. All right, Michael, I'm excited about the fact that,
you put Tyreek Hill, and unfortunately, we couldn't afford him.
So I was wondering how Tyreek. Okay, how did Tyreek Hill get in there? I already didn't. I just bash the Dolphins earlier.
You did. That was an accidental click. But this is why quality control is so important. And guess who did that quality control for us? DraftKings, because we couldn't have picked a defense. Go
Michael,
ahead, Eric.
I just think this is Tyreek Hill trying to get on any type of quality lineup. He's not happy where he currently is. But okay, instead of Tyreek Hill, at a much more of a savings, going all the way down to $5,000, we're going to get Dontavian Wicks in our lineup. Okay, so look, this guy really came alive last week, allows us to save money, and you have a situation where he completely went off last week, right? Don't like the efficiency, but you like the looking at him in the red zone. You love the 13 targets. He led his team in targets. So why do we want to take advantage of Wicks this week, given he's only $5,000? I mean, he's only priced at $5,000, Michael. He must not be good. DraftKings must know something. Well,
I can't believe he's still this inexpensive, but let's take it.
There are 2 key factors for what's going on. Factor number 1, which wasn't the case in week 3, Jordan Love is back. Much better passing offense with Jordan Love than Malik Willis. Factor number 2, Christian Watson, who played in week 3. He takes Christian Watson's role. He's right now listed as doubtful, which means he's doubtful to play and probably won't play. Obviously, watch the news. Make sure he is, in fact, inactive, he being Christian Watson. But dial up Dontavian Wicks. I really like this, given his $5,000 price.
Yeah, no, he could be the best bargain if Watson is out on our slate. So that leaves us with, we got $2,800. So we can take the Bills against Houston. Somewhat tempting. We could take, gosh, you know what? The one that's kind of sticking out is the team playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. They've gotten 4 sacks in 3 of their 4 games. I think one game they got skunked because they were going up against a tougher offense. But you know who's not a tough offense right now? It's Jacksonville, and they're giving up a lot of sacks and a lot of turnovers. I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to have to figure something out if he wants to maybe not necessarily keep his job, but help this team have some respect. But they're just not there right now. I think otherwise Indianapolis hasn't necessarily been that strong, but sacks is something that you want for a floor. And Buffalo just didn't look very good this last week, and they're going up against a pretty potent offense in Houston. So those would be the 2 teams I'd choose between. Pick whomever you like, but we're going to go with the Colts.
Yeah, certainly don't mind the Colts against the winless Jacksonville Jaguars. It is disappointing that we were $100 short from getting the Broncos at home, who have a legitimate good defense against the Raiders, especially if Devontae Adams is out again, or even New England, who's playing at home against the team that, can you believe this? The team that has scored the least number of points all year. So if we find bargains that happen up because of injuries or things that come in later, and you get an extra $100, I have no problem going up to either of those 2 guys. Right now we have $200 we're leaving on the table, and great. really like this lineup. A lot of, I wouldn't say the superstars, but who are superstars this year? But some really strong players in Kyren Williams, Hubbard, Collins, and Walker, and then a bunch of guys who I think come with solid floors. All right, let's go to FanDuel. All right, here's our FanDuel lineup with the two running backs, Hubbard and Walker, in there. We have a little under $46,000 and therefore about $6,500 to spend on the rest of the lineup. And let me go a little above that average to get a guy that I'm super excited that we get to fit in this lineup. At wide receiver at $7,200 is Jaden Reed. And just take a look at his game log, folks. You might wonder, why is he only 7,200? You go, well, wait a minute. He's had two fantastic weeks, week 1 and week 4, but I'm concerned. Look, he didn't do well at week 2 and 3. Now, why is it he did so well in week 1 and 4 and somehow struggled in week 2 and 3? Did he just get a sucky disease? I'll let you guys figure it out. Can you feel the love? He could feel the love. Those were the weeks that Jordan Love was starting. With Jordan Love, Reed has been amazing this year. And of course, week 5, Love will be in the lineup. And by the way, he's got a great matchup. Playing in LA, the 31st ranked defense overall in yards given up. I don't care what what FanDuel is listing based on FanDuel pricing, but of total yards given up so far this year, the Rams are 31st. Against wide receivers in scoring, it's 27th. So I actually love this because some people will look at this and think, oh, they have a good pass defense. They don't. So I love having Jaden Reed in the lineup.
All right. Well, I'll save some money then, since you're spending some dollars, and go with a guy who's at $6,300, and that's Brian Thomas Jr. At home against Indianapolis. I'll tell you, man, LSU is producing star wide receivers. Actually, if you look around the league, it feels like everybody either went to LSU, Alabama, or Georgia. But Brian Thomas Jr. is showing to be quite the star. He's going up against the 26th defense, actually 28th against the pass defense in the league. And his targets continue to go up, throughout this season. He got in the end zone this last week. And really the Jaguars are looking his way, more so than, his counterpart. And so, which has probably been a little bit disappointing to those of you who got Christian Kirk in your fantasy drafts. Still a chance that they'll have their tight end back this week, which could dip into his targets. But $6,300, and given how much Jaguars are having to throw the ball, really impressed with this guy's talent.
Yeah, he's a rookie. So you would only expect his role to get larger as the season goes along. All righty. So I think I'm going to switch to running back. We have two fantastic running backs already with Chuba Hubbard and Kenneth Walker. Can't afford Kyren Williams at $8,400. But I'm going to get a guy who is Kyren Williams-like. He's the goal line back on his team. I'm leaving it a secret for a minute because I want people I don't want them to be affected by the name. Just get the facts. He's the goal line back. He gets heavily involved in the passing game more than you think. And he's the featured back. And finally, he's someone that has a great matchup. At $6,300, huge savings off Kyren Williams, is Jerome Ford from the Cleveland Browns. Just to prove it on the game log, for the last 2 weeks, you go, well, wait a minute. What do you mean he's the featured back? He only has 10 carries in the last 2 weeks. What are you trying to sell us? Look, he's got 20 of the 26 running back carries. So to me, that's the bell cow running back that we want. And he gets the goal line. look at the targets he's receiving in the passing game. And like I mentioned already, when I talked about Deshaun Watson in DraftKings, he faces the Washington defense, which is great to face because they have a good offense, but not a good defense. And even if they are coming from behind, the fact that he gets involved in the passing game is a major positive.
Yeah, no, for those that are fantasy owners of him, I think that the future continues to be bright for him, except for whether, when they finally get their when they get Chubb back, right? Nick Chubb, which is not going to happen this week.
That's
So
all we care about in daily.
that's right. That's right. So I like that pick, and it allows for us to spend some money at the quarterback position, and we can't quite afford Allen, who had an atrocious week. Let's go with a guy that has a really high floor week in and week out, and part of it's because of his legs. Nice matchup. I think this is the highest potential scoring matchup in terms of odds this week, lines this week, and that's Lamar Jackson going up against the 23rd rush defense in the league. I talk about rush because what does he give you? Look at this, all these rushing yards. Yes, he's a quarterback. He is a quarterback. And so not only does he give you all these rush yards, he also throws the ball. He's starting to get a little more accurate in the last couple of games. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Cincinnati is a very good offense, but they're not a very good defense. And Lamar Jackson will benefit from that. He even got 54 yards when his counterpart running back got rushing, when his counterpart got well over 100 yards, almost on the first play of offense of the game for them. And so, I don't blame if you want to go with Jaden Daniels, but he's going up against a much tougher defense. And Lamar Jackson just has such a high floor. I think the extra $100 is worth it.
No, I like that. I think you had a Freudian slip and said his counterpart running back because you just think of Lamar Jackson as a running back. All right, I love it. We had spent a lot of money, but you get quality there. And like you said, almost certain to give you a solid floor with the ability to really go off. All right, wide receiver. I'm going to save money, but not going to sacrifice in talent. I'm going to get a number one wide receiver on his team at 6,200 in a great matchup. I'm talking about Amari Cooper. Historically, he's always been his favorite target of Watson. Now we are going all in against the Commanders. Not only we have Jerome Ford, but we have Amari Cooper, but I've already said it multiple times. I just think the Commanders are a great team to play against. You wouldn't know it looking at these weird rankings that FanDuel is throwing out there, but trust me, the Commanders are a great team to go up against. They are the 32nd team. How many teams are in the NFL, Michael?
Exactly that many.
32. So dead last in fantasy points against wide receivers. So yeah. So I think, I think last week you go, well, Cooper had a bad day. He did score a touchdown that got overturned by a penalty. I mean, this is a guy that I have confidence, even though he's had 3 out of 4 games that have been underwhelming, Michael.
Yeah, and you saw this late in the season last year with Amari Cooper when finally Deshaun Watson started to hook with him appropriately. He just started to go off second half of the season, and you saw glimpses of that last 2 weeks ago, and actually last week, like you say, except for that touchdown getting called back. And they're going to need to throw the ball in this game, and Amari Cooper is going to benefit from it. So a lot of upside with him as well.
If I can talk a little bit about our NFL DFS Master Class, we say the number one thing in wide receivers that you should be targeting is targets. And you just went off the screen, but if I remember, it was like 9, 8, 12, or whatever the number was, consistently getting the targets. So I worry more about that than the fantasy points.
Hey, quick plug for us, please, if you can, like this video, comment in the comment section, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. So that gives us tight end and defense. So at the tight end position, Eric, we still have some money left, and I know I don't need to leave you anything left for defense. So I look here, McBride is coming out of a concussion protocol. Brock Bowers is going up against that really challenging Denver defense. I think it's worth spending the money on George Kittle. Yeah, he's questionable, but it looks highly likely that he's going to play this week. Draws a great matchup against Arizona. This is going to be a high-scoring game. San Francisco has the most implied total projected this week. So I know he's expensive, but we got to get somebody in here who's got a little extra upside as well. And the money we've spent has allowed us to do that. So going to go with, George Kittle, who, hey, he's getting in the end zone. He's getting those targets that you just mentioned. Tight end position has been tough this season. So let's get him in there. We can afford him. And let's leave Eric nothing left on defense because, that always gives him some options. Oh, wait, look, you got some
I
left.
do have some options. One quick note about Kittle, just as a reminder, we've said this before. With, and Deebo Samuel's back, but the one thing about Jordan Mason has been a nice replacement for Christian McCaffrey running the ball, but he has not come close to duplicating McCaffrey in the passing game. So that leaves targets up for other people. And one of those people I think that benefits is Kittle. All right. So you left me $4,000 for defense. And look at that. I was eyeing this defense on DraftKings, but he's within our range on in FanDuel. Let's do it. Long as I got your permission to go against your Las Vegas Raiders. First of all, let's just comment. The actual Denver defense has been really, really good this year. They've been so good, especially since their offense has really struggled in some of these games. So they've been on the field a lot. But look at their sacks. The number one thing you want out of a defense is to put pressure on the quarterback. They are home favorites, and they face the second worst rushing attack in the entire NFL than Las Vegas. I don't understand why they can't get Zamir White going. The bottom line is they can't, and they're forcing Gardner Minshew to have to pass. And they might not even have their number one passing weapon in Devontae Adams in this game. You have to follow the news. I really like this. I know we go bargain basement so often with defenses, but I like Denver here for $4,000.
Yeah, no, I going against my Raiders. I really like it. You pointed at all the reasons, and part of it's this Denver Broncos defense has been, kind of better than we all thought to start the season. Hey, folks, we've left you, a couple of things to consider. You could definitely come down from Kittle. You could come down on the defense. That could give you dollars to come up on a couple of these guys. But I mean, we've got some, folks in this lineup with Walker. We talked about Hubbard as well. Reed. We got some guys that are number one guys on their team in almost every position, and teams that are expected to produce this week. And that's how we like to approach the lineup. And I think we did a good job of it again. And we didn't even leave a dollar to spare.
Yeah, and I think Michael said it. I just want to emphasize it, that you got to watch the news on George Kittle, right? So if you don't think he will be at 100%, and certainly if he is inactive, you'll have to pivot off him. But if he's good to go, excited that we got him in the lineup with these running backs in that star at QB and some very, very capable wide receivers. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. My voice is cracking as we wrap up the session. Take care, everybody. Until next week, good luck.
Bye-bye. We'll put 2 videos on the screen that we think you'll enjoy.